Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unmet Style Podcast. I'm here with Emily Lewis.
Hi.
In person finally.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. We're at In Control Design Conference in Orlando. So you're here talking about microformats. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, why should we care about microformats?
Someone asked me about their iPhone, and that when they have their iPhone and they come to a website that has like an address or a phone number or whatever, that wouldn't it be like the phone? You see the phone number and sometimes has like that dotted line underneath, and you can click and it'll call. But wouldn't it be nice if the address would allow you to then click through to a map or something like that? And things like microformats allow you to describe your content so that machines like an iPhone or a browser or a search engine understand what that content means, because you and I read it, we recognize that it's an address, but a search engine just sees it as a block of text. It has no meaning to it. But the minute you can add meaning for those machines with something like microformats, then they can do something with it, like take you to a map or allow you to download an event to your calendar application, or add that address to your contacts.
Right. How does all this new HTML5, we're all in love with this, how does that impact our use of microformats?
In the sense of you can totally, it doesn't really do anything. There were some issues in the beginning with the new semantic structural elements, that the parsers that read microformats and extract the information didn't recognize those elements, kind of like how browsers still don't quite recognize the elements.
Okay.
But they've since updated their parsers. People who develop them, they've updated them to recognize it, so you just use it the same way that you have always. But HTML5 also introduces its own idea of how you add meaning to content for machines with microdata. And basically, they can coexist happily. You can have both. You can also choose one or the other. At this point, I'm not using microdata because there are no machines that parse it. The only exception to that is Google does recognize microdata, as well as microformats and RDF on content for events, people, and reviews.
Okay. How about email? Like how do I use microformats in my email, like coding an email newsletter, or how does it impact that world?
Yeah, you know what? I don't believe it has any effect on email, because email sort of exists independent of the internet. So it's not like you're viewing an email in a browser, because if you are, you're actually viewing a web page. Right. But if you do have like a web version of your email, for people who have trouble reading or whatever, yes, that web version should totally have microformats. The nice thing about microformats, though, is that they predominantly use the class attribute and then a specific value. So if you're using, in addition to, I'm sure, the font tags you have to include in your email, but if you're also backing that up with inline styles and classes, you can utilize the classes that microformats give you as styling hooks, as well as the semantic stuff.
Okay.
But for an email, it's not going to do much. It has to sort of be viewed as a web page or on a browser.
Right. That's cool. I suppose you do a lot more than just talk about microformats. So what are you doing right now for a living?
Well, I went freelance in April of last year, so I'm I'm adjusting to it, but so far it's pretty awesome. My biggest learning experience was coming to this conference. It's my first time as a freelancer. So I have client projects that are due, and it's a whole different experience than getting the permission from your employer to take a couple days off of work. So that's been an eye-opener. But I've got work, so I can't really complain. Yeah,
so you're up all night working on your project.
Yes.
So you're also involved in the design community in New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
What's your involvement there? What are you part of?
I co-founded and co-manage Webaquerque. It's the Adobe user group for New Mexico's web professionals. Okay. And we've been going this is our third year, and it's been really great. Albuquerque's a small town, but it has a lot of talent. And we're an Adobe user group, so we mention Adobe on occasion, but we really just focus on topics about standards and best practices, and giving the local developers a chance to showcase what they know and what they bring to the table, and then also sort of giving them a social opportunity. So it's like meet every month, and we have a presentation for about an hour, and then everyone hangs out and has beer.
The beer is nice. How do you wrangle those people to actually give presentations every month? I suppose that's hard.
Oh, I do. Like I said in my presentation, I'm like this really freakishly organized person.
Okay.
So in November, at the end of every year, I start contacting people, and I require that they get back to me by a certain time. So I have the whole year lined up before the year's even started. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. It's just, it's hard to manage events. So.
Well, thanks for talking with me. I appreciate it so much.
No, I'm honored. Thank you very much.